Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey, we're back.
How are you, Carrie?
I'm alive and kicking. How are you?
I'm alive and limping. No, I'm just kidding. I know I'm good. I'm surviving. How are you? I mean, it's just crazy.
I miss doing this show.
It's been a month.
I know. You know what I found for me in podcasting? It's kind of like years ago when I used to go to church every week. And then if you miss 1 week, it's real easy to go, I'm not going to go again this week.
That's what happened when I started liking football.
Right. Yes. Yes. I'm an all or nothing chick. I know that. And so for me, I love to sort of batch record, but you and I both know my brain doesn't work well that way.
No, because then you forget and you're not sure what's going on or what episode's coming out. Yeah, and that's why when I edit the show, I try to edit it as close to the release day as possible without giving myself a heart attack, because I want to remember what's coming out, because if people mention it, I have to know what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Well, there is that.
Well, I edit a lot of podcasts, so.
So I'm glad we're back.
Yeah, this is Handle with Carrie, Cancer and Beyond Like That. Things said at the beginning, my wife.
Yeah.
She's got a cool voice.
She does.
But we're back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out with us and staying a part of it. It's been a crazy few months. We've moved studios, we've moved offices, we've moved desks and worked on other desks, and I went traveling and all sorts of things. But
and then I got COVID again.
Yeah, you got COVID again.
That was fun.
You had to have your eye thing. So there's lots of things happening.
Life happened, and here we are.
Yeah, and the Seahawks are in first place, Carrie.
Whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
Whatever. My whole team is injured.
Your whole team is not doing well.
Shut it.
Okay, I'll stop.
Moving on. Get back to the show.
Okay, back to the show. We're going to talk about Carrie's new profession, in a sense. She was a certified death doula.
Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit, what they do, but we want to go a little more in depth and then discuss her first client, for lack of better words, because that's been one of the things that's been a couple months. Yeah. So I'll let you take it from here. What is a death doula, Carrie?
So, let me go back to why I even got involved. That
was me rewinding.
Yeah, I like that. Good. Damn, you're really good at that. So last year sometime when we announced that we were closing the Care Project's office just to move operations home, I also mentioned that I'd been super busy again. We had kind of taken a hiatus from the show because I was in school online to train to be a certified care doula, which is also known as a death doula or end-of-life doula.
Yeah, I probably should have said care instead of death.
No. So it is. So I choose to use that name because of the school I'm affiliated with. That's what they use. But in essence, we are death doulas. And so I didn't even know they existed. I've always heard of birth doulas. I've never heard of a death doula. And so what it is basically somebody who is a companion to someone who knows that they're going to die within probably, anywhere from, it could be a week to 6 months. Typically the person has enrolled and is on hospice.
Yeah.
And hospice does not mean that you're dying tomorrow. Hospice means we're going to make you comfortable. We're going to give you the best quality of life and help you die as comfortably as possible for however long.
My grandma went on hospice, both of them.
Yeah. And some people have gone on hospice and then gotten better and went off hospice and then later deteriorated and ended back up on hospice. So anyhow, death doula, and I am certified through the school. Let me be clear, there's no licensing, there's no regulatory body, but it is a certification, meaning I took intense training over the course of months. It was self-paced, but it was not just a cheap school that you pay $150 and you print some certificate out. I actually had to do the work, and the work involved being trained by a hospice nurse about the physical aspects of how it looks and how it feels, and when a body is shutting down.
Yeah.
And
kind of the signs to look for, just to know what's going on.
Absolutely. All the different signs, things that they might experience. And I experienced almost all of those things when I was with my dad the last 3 weeks of his life.
Yes.
And I was bedside when he took his last breath. Mm-hmm. And so as I was learning these physical signs and the psychological things that happen with the brain, as the body's shutting down, I was like, aha, yes, I experienced that with my dad. The terminal agitation, the modeling of his feet when they were starting to turn purple.
This is familiar to me. Now I know why that was that.
Yeah. And so I thought, oh my gosh, death and dying is such a taboo topic in our society, and we need to change that.
I agree, and I've been thinking about doula, the word doula, because you said birth doula. I don't even know what that was until you said it when we talked about this prior. And a death doula, well, a doula is usually someone that has been through the experience of childbirth, which is helping a new person go through the childbirth. Now, being a death doula,
I don't know.
That's what I was reading right now. Definition. Okay. I mean, I'm assuming, that why would somebody that hasn't gone through it trying to help you out? But being a death doula, do you feel like your near-death experience of going through breast cancer makes you feel more connected to do this?
I think I'm. I don't know if connected is the way. I think
more open.
I would imagine that any doula would take it very personal, right? Because it's such an intimate experience to be with someone at their most vulnerable time, when their body is dying, when they've lost strength, when they can no longer feed themselves, or...
Don't you think that someone's been healthy their whole life doesn't necessarily have the same compassion for someone like that, except for
I think unless they've been a nurse or something like that, a professional caregiver, they probably not. I think I'm very empathetic to patients. I know what it feels like to not be able to care for myself.
Yeah.
When I had a staph infection.
Watch yourself deteriorate?
Yeah, when I had to learn to walk again after my septic issue. I mean, so I think for sure, but I think what struck me even more and really spearheaded this was being with my dad when he died.
Yeah.
And it was such an honor, and it wasn't terrifying. It was scary at times because you just don't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. But it was a very beautiful, humbling experience, and it was quite an honor to be there. Just like it's an honor to be in the room when someone gives birth. Yeah. It's the same thing.
I was in the room when my grandmother on my mother's side, maternal side, passed away. She was on hospice. She lived in Pasco, Tri-Cities, Washington, where all my family is. Mm-hmm. And she was laying in the bed. We're all sitting there in the kitchen, living room. She's just breathing slowly, not talking, just laying there, last minutes, last hours, whatnot. Mm-hmm. And we're just around her, and we'd walk by her and say, hi, Grandma, and stuff, and maybe squeeze her hand and stuff. And then my grandpa, for a lack of better words, because they never got married, Dennis, he walks over and sits next to her, holds her hand, and starts whispering to her and says, it's okay. You can go.
Yeah.
And she died right then.
Yeah.
And I was like, see, and I, what do you say all the time? I'm getting chills.
Yeah.
You doing that with your dad reminds me doing it with my grandmother, being on her bedside, and then not even bedside, just we were all in the room. There was like 15 of us. We were all family.
Right.
There. Right. Evelyn was there.
Right.
And then my dad had to do it with his dad when he was probably in his 40s, my dad. Mm-hmm. So 30s, actually, like 30s, early 40s, because they had us young. So I'm like envisioning that, different scenarios. We had a room with my grandma. My dad was with my mom or my grandma. So it's
right. Yeah, there's something very special about it. And I know people say, death isn't beautiful. How can it be beautiful? But you know what? It's what you make it. And every death isn't an easy death. There are some diseases that take over, and it can be uglier than others. And I've learned that through hospice nurse Julie. Is amazing.
But there's a lot of different diseases or things out there that can get you that you have no control over.
Right. Yeah. And hospice is a great way to help manage pain and manage just all the symptoms. But
quality of life.
The quality, that's exactly it. Yep. It is the quality of life. And that's exactly what I have my little handbook here from my schooling. And it says quality of life care serving our community since 2005. Deanna Cochran is an RN. She's the founder of the school. She's a hospice nurse. And I'm just going to read from her. Oh, this is a quote from the National End of Life Doula Alliance. And it says, end-of-life doulas provide non-medical, holistic support and comfort to the dying person and their family, which may include education and guidance, as well as emotional, spiritual, or practical care from as early as an initial diagnosis through bereavement. So really it's up to the doula and really like how much time do you have and what do they need and where do you step in? So,
and how do you get asked?
Right. So first of all, people don't know that we exist.
Well, yeah.
So that's a big deal. Issue. We are not employed or employees of hospice. Insurance doesn't pay for us or our time. And so it's private pay, or we donate time, or I'm hoping through the CARE project that I can get some grant money. Yeah. That we can at least.
Yeah, because you'll just donate all your time.
Pretty much. But there's still gas to get to people's houses and
still people to drive you sometimes when you can't see things.
Yeah, I can't really drive myself. So there's a lot to it. But I will say it depends on where you come in. And some people have the means and they know about end-of-life doulas or death doulas, and they'll say, I have a terminal diagnosis. I want a companion. And you can say, well, they have family. Yes, they do. But there are things that a dying person wants to talk about or needs to talk about that the families often don't. I don't want to hear that.
Yep. That's why they had lawyers in the past.
I mean, and even like their last wishes, right? Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people don't think about these things. And so one of the things that I do is I offer that like as a package, like let's sit down and go over a checklist. Yeah. Like what are your main concerns? What are your fears? And then we can deal with that emotional stuff, and I can help bring in resources as needed to help with that, whether it's mental health professionals, hospice nurses, whatever. And then also logistically, like we know at some point you're probably going to go into a coma-like state, but you'll probably still be able to hear because hearing is the last thing to go.
Yeah.
So what do you want going on around you? Do you want music? Do you want football? Do you know what I mean?
Like, what do you want? Yeah.
Right. Like, what do you want? Who do you want in your house?
Turn on a podcast.
Who do you not want in the house, right?
Yeah.
Like,
what kind of energy do you want?
Do you want candles lit? Do you want music? What kind of music? Like, I have a whole freaking playlist. I do. And my kids
I'm not going to make any jokes about that.
No, listen.
There's a lot of songs you could play that would be inappropriate.
Right.
That's another show.
So these are just some of the things I do. And because I work full time, I would love to do this work full time, but I can't. So I work full time and I have the CARE project. So what I do is I offer different things. So I can do like an initial patient consultation, where that means I go in and I just talk with the patient one-on-one without their family and say, what do you need from me? How can I support you? Do you need to have uncomfortable conversations with your family?
And that comes at all different steps of diagnosis, hospice, deterioration in a sense. Yeah,
absolutely. It just helps them process. It gives them somebody that's outside of their family who isn't, I'm caring and I'm loving, but I'm not going to be extra emotional as your sister would be.
Correct. They're not going to lose it halfway through a conversation about how you're going to take care of their
right. And my goal is really to be their advocate. So in other words, you've seen it and heard it time after time on the show, is someone who is terminal who decides, you know what, I'm done having treatment. I want quality of life, and I'm going to just live out the rest of my life, however long that is, and be comfortable and have a great time. And there's family in their ear going, don't give up. Why are you giving up? Da, 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 da. And they're placing this guilt on you. And it's like the patient sometimes has a real peace about the fact that, look, I've done all I can do. Clearly my body is shutting down.
Yeah.
And so why am I going to fight it? I'm going to enjoy whatever time I have left.
And you really can't say anything about people that make that decision because you're not in that decision. Right. You don't feel like them. You don't know how they feel. You don't know what they've been through. You might know what they've been through physically, like, oh yeah, they went to treatments, but you don't know how they feel.
Right.
People just get tired.
They do, and people like me are realistic. Mm-hmm. We do all we can, and then we know, like, okay, look, odds are this is not going to, and doctors will tell you, you know what, yeah, Kara, we can try this other chemo, but you're probably only going to get maybe 1 month extra. And how are you going to feel? Because you're on all that shit.
Exactly.
So anyways, I can serve as their advocate and their moderator. So my goal is to always listen to them, hear what their concerns are. What do they need from me? How can I help support them in that? Mm-hmm. Is that moderating a family meeting? I've done that. Respite care is another thing I offer, which is basically you have a great family dynamic. They're taking care of you. Say you're sick as hell and you're dying, and Evelyn's there taking care of you all the time. She needs a break. Mm-hmm. She needs to go take a shower, a nap.
Yeah, she does.
She needs to go get a pedicure just to get out of the house, something, so I can come in and sit for 2 hours and do whatever.
Yeah, because even when it comes down to not just people dying, Evelyn was in the ER one time,
right,
during Julian's 5th birthday party.
Oh, geez.
So I'm going back and forth from the house to the hospital. So I was at the hospital. The party starts in 2 hours. So Evelyn's mom came and sat with her at the hospital. Yeah. So I'm even situations like that, not as
right.
What bad is on that? I can't even think of the right word right now, but
well, it's a need.
It was needed. Yeah.
It's a need because typically somebody still in the household has to go to work.
I'm just thinking of the people that don't have family.
And that's it, right?
I'm thinking of like, one, how did they find you? Because if I was an older gentleman sitting in some retirement home somewhere and I had no family, nobody visiting me, and I was just flirting with the nurses.
Right.
I'd want to know that I had someone that was going to sit with me when I was going to go.
Right.
Even if I just met them,
right,
and I feel comfortable with them.
And someone that isn't clinical.
Correct.
Right?
Somebody that can give you a peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the things I do. Really, I'm an advocate. I'm a moderator for the family. I can do respite care on the weekends and evenings, and then vigil. So vigil is when the patient is in the actively dying phase. This is usually when they've now gone, unresponsive, but they're still alive. And, I think of my brother and I, when my dad was at that actively dying phase, my sister-in-law, my brother, and myself were there. But thankfully, my dad had money in the bank that we could hire a private company to come in. They were like nurses' aides and nurses. And there was always one of them with us 24/7.
That's nice.
Because we just couldn't, we didn't sleep. One of us was like taking a nap while the other was on guard and then, nodding out. And so there was somebody there that was able to, I remember the woman said to me, she lifted up the covers on my dad's feet. And I thought, what is she doing? And she motioned to me to come here and look at the soles of his feet. And they were turning a little bit purple in spots. And that's called modeling. I didn't know that at the time. And she said, it won't be long now. And I'm like, okay, how do you know that?
The blood's slowing the circulation down.
I don't know the science behind it, but all I know is it's a sign that the body's actively dying. So probably within hours or a couple days. And so now that I know all these things, it's not scary. Mm-hmm. It's being educated. And that's what Hospice Nurse Julie does online, is she educates people to normalize it so that people can be informed, because you're scared of things that you don't know about.
Yes.
Right.
But also, and this is a faux, like you said earlier, talking about death is I don't know if faux pas is the right word, but it's like
taboo.
Yeah, taboo. Mm-hmm. You don't talk about it. You don't bring it up. Right. It just happens. Right. And when it happens, you pretend you're celebrating life, and then you go in your car and you cry a little bit, and then it's over, you know. But I mean, you don't know what happens.
Right.
You don't. So, but at least come to terms with the fact that it's going to happen.
Yeah, listen, we're all going to die sometime.
Yes.
So you might as well know the signs of it. You might as well know what to expect, because if you're not witnessing your own body deteriorating, you're going to have a loved one or a friend. And to be able to know what to expect takes away some of the fear. It's not going to take away the pain of losing the person or missing them, but at least you won't have fear.
You'll kind of understand.
You understand that the body is built to die. That sounds funny, but it is. It's built to withstand birth, and it's built to naturally shut down.
Time takes everything.
Yeah, so there's people when their loved one stops eating or drinking and they're trying to force them. And the hospice nurse Julie will tell you that's the worst thing you can do. A dry death is better than a wet death. Mm-hmm. And so I've just learned all these things from her. She supplemented my education, and I just find it a real honor to do it. So,
Yeah, how do people get a hold of you? Besides carrymadrid.com, I guess.
Yeah, carrymadrid.com is the best way.
Okay.
And there's a little video on there that talks about why I started this. And there's a link also to the school that I attended.
Yep.
So you can get more information. And my teacher's going to come on the show and talk about why she started this school and more on that.
This is a weird question.
Yeah.
Do you have any clients lined up? I mean, how do you ask that question?
Well, no, I get it. So actually, yes, I do, because I run the Care Project and I have friends who are stage 4. They know that at some point cancer is going to kill them. Mm-hmm. They don't know when. They could be metastatic for 20 years like our friend Catherine Contreras.
Yeah.
Or they may be metastatic for only a couple of months. And so the minute I said I was doing this, my friends that are stage 4 said, I want you to be my death doula. And I was like, okay.
Oh, yeah. I can name names when I go into
Yeah. And so, but I did have my first official client a few weeks back, and she is now passed. Her name was Anissa. Mm-hmm. She, my friend Gina, who's been on the show several times, also a breast cancer survivor, was friends with Anissa from kindergarten. And so I met Anissa a few years ago when her cancer had recurred, and she'd come to the Care Project. I think we had like a makeup party or something when Thrive Cosmetics donated all this stuff to us. And so she's a really sweet girl, very sweet. Turns out we know a lot of the same people. We all sort of grew up in the Rialto, California area, and they all went to school together when I had moved. So I didn't know her.
Okay.
But I met her, and anyways, her cancer came back with a vengeance, and for probably about 2.5, almost 3 years, she's dealt with metastatic breast cancer that just kept taking over her body. Oof. And really ate away at her little, she was already a small, petite woman, very beautiful, sweet and kind. And so at some point, the family knew, like, it was time, like hospice needs to be involved, and she's probably not going to pull out of this like she had so many times before. And so Gina called me and said, I told the family about you and that you're now a certified care doula, and asked them if it would be okay if I brought you over, and Anissa would love for you to come. And I said, absolutely, I'll go.
That's how I kind of figured how it's going to kind of go in the beginning is going to be word of mouth.
It
type
is
thing.
Probably going to be word of mouth.
Yeah, because it's not something you have a billboard with. Are you dying?
Yeah, right. Right.
Do you need someone to talk to?
Right.
It's not that kind of advertising.
Yeah. No, but I hope to, and I'm not really pushing it or myself or my services right now because my schedule is so tight right now. I'm kind of only organically doing those that come through the Care Project.
Yes.
And then if somebody like Gina knew somebody who said, hey, I've got somebody who can support you in some way. And I really didn't know what, if anything, they needed from me other than just
ask them.
So I walked in. Gina picked me up one day after work, and I walked in. And when I walked in, her mother and her 2 sisters who've been caring for her, just like their shoulders went down, and they just took a sigh of relief and were like, "Oh, we're so glad you're here. Thank you so much." And it really took me aback because I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's just me. Like, what is it?" But it's because it's somebody from the outside. Support. Yeah, it's not family. It's not a close best friend, but it's someone that is here. And I think I have a pretty calm demeanor when it came to walking in because I'm not afraid of death.
Yeah.
And I know that Anissa was dying at that time. And so, and they're such a dignified, loving family. Mm-hmm. Like the mom just gave me a hug and a kiss the second I walked in, right? And so I went in and I was able to have a private conversation with Anissa for a long time. And just asked her, how are you feeling? Yeah. Not physically. I know how you're feeling physically, but how are you feeling?
What do you want to talk about?
Emotionally, know, do you have fears? Do you have concerns?
What's on your mind?
Do you have...
any peanut butter? Because I brought jelly.
Yeah. I mean, we laughed. We talked. You know what I mean? She appreciated me being there. She appreciated me giving her a safe space to say whatever she needed without
trying to...
Well, without not necessarily
offending her family.
Well, not that, but also just like there was no pressure on her to perform, to not quit, and her family was never, I will be very clear, her family never said that. Her family honored whatever she wanted to do at that time.
But you've got to feel that way sometimes, though. Her
family was very pro hospice at the time, and Anissa wasn't there yet. She hadn't resolved herself to saying, this is it. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to have a gentle conversation with her to say, I want you to consider these things. Only from my education do I know that these certain symptoms are signs that your body's shutting down. So this isn't about you giving up. Because she said, I don't want to give up yet. And I said, what does that even mean?
Yeah, well,
what does that mean?
Your body's saying something different.
Right. And so we were able to just talk through it without me trying to persuade her one way or another. I gave her some things to think about. Her exact words were, wow, you've given me a lot of nuggets to think about tonight. And I said, well, I'm glad, and I asked her, was she having certain experiences? And she said, yes. And I got chills through my body. And I said, well, I just need to be honest with you. That is a sign that your body's shutting down. And does that make you scared? And she said, not really. And she had this peace come over her. And she said, it's a little unnerving at times when I first started experiencing this, but then I know, I just know my body's shutting down. And I was such a beautiful way for me to just give her permission to say, this isn't about giving up or fighting. We're past that.
This is just what's happening.
This is out of your control. Mm-hmm. You've done everything that you humanly can do. Your doctors have done everything that they can humanly do. Your body's shutting down, and now you get to choose how you want that to go. Mm-hmm. You get to choose. Do you want music on? She's like, I do. I said, okay, what do you want to hear? Smooth jazz. I got you. You know what I mean?
I got a playlist.
Yeah. So, and to be able to have those conversations, and I asked her, do you have any conversations like you want to have or you feel you need to have with a loved one that you haven't had yet? And I said, I don't want to know what it is or who. I'm just asking you to think about these things. And she looked at me and she goes, I think I do. I said, okay. If you need help,
let me know.
Yeah. And she wanted me to sort of moderate a family meeting, but it wasn't a good day to do that for everybody involved. And so I said, I'm here. You've got my number. You can call me. We can FaceTime. And so it was so much of an honor to be there. So I met with her a couple times, visited her one other time after, and then I got COVID and I had to stay away.
Yes.
And she really declined. I stayed in contact with Mom, who kind of gave me an update, and then she did pass. And I was sad for her family, but I was also very relieved for them because they were exhausted after 2.5 years of caring for her and watching her decline. And it's heart-wrenching.
Yeah, not even physically, just mentally too. Everything takes it out of you.
Yeah, and the good thing is, mentally speaking with Anissa, she kept her wits about her the whole time. Thankfully cancer wasn't, taking over her brain or something.
Yeah, that happened to my grandpa.
She was able to have
seeing monkeys and stuff. Yeah, and my dad was freaking out.
Yeah, so she was able to have the conversations that she wanted to have and to tell her loved ones that she loved them.
At least she got that. That was nice because if she never had someone like you kind of playing the middle card, that she might not have ever been able to orchestrate that meeting and tell people what she was thinking.
I think one of the most valuable things I was able to offer was that conversation about what is giving up. Because so many people think that going on hospice care is giving up. And here's the thing, and I'm only speaking about cancer because I've had 10 years in cancer land and I've lost a lot of friends to cancer, so I've seen it. At some point, treatment stops working. Mm-hmm. And then you have to choose, do you want to keep gambling and taking that next treatment that could cause you to have a massive heart attack and then you have no time to say goodbye because you're instantly gone? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to stop all treatment, live your best life for however long that is, and really make memories and have those conversations? And to me, we never know what we're going to do till we're in that moment.
Exactly.
But for me to be able to step in and sort of give her that perspective, if you will, mm-hmm. like this isn't about giving up, was just priceless. And when I left there, Lavetta, our friend who's metastatic and a therapist, I told her that I'd been there. And of course, the first thing she says is, okay, so let's process this. How did that make you feel? And so we processed. And I said, you know what? I felt like I was right where I was supposed to be. It was very natural. And so I know that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And it was quite an honor.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I know that's a lot, but it's a lot in a good way.
Yeah.
So CarrieMadrid.com. I'll be your end of life care doula. I'm in Southern California, but I can connect through FaceTime and Zoom and
I would say if you just have a question, you can contact her through there and just ask us quick questions. She'll get back to you. She always does.
Absolutely.
That's about it then? Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm happy to be here. I'm still cancer-free. I'm approaching 11 years. I just had blood work, and I have some scans coming up. But so far, in February, we'll be doing another celebration.
Hercules.
I know, and I don't take 1 year for granted. So
I'm trying not to.
No, you can't.
No, not at all. Handle with Care. Cancer and Beyond is the podcast. You can go to thecareprojectinc.org to find out what the Care Project's all about. Buy their book, Handle with Care, Cancer and Beyond. Handle with Care, your support group in a book. Yeah, sorry. I'm looking at the logo for the podcast right now. That's why I said that.
You're fired.
I know. And then thisisfunner.com. If you're looking to launch podcast or graphics or anything like that, you can reach out to me there. So thank you for the conversation.
Absolutely. We shall get Gina on to talk about that.
We should.
All right.
I love her. It's like her husband's birthday or something.
I know. They're probably partying.
Yeah, they are. All right. Bye.
Take care.
Attention hobbyists! Indulge in your passion and collect goat guns with Sergeant Gunner. Our meticulously crafted miniatures are perfect for adding a unique touch to your collection. From iconic firearms to limited editions, each piece is a work of art. These miniature gun models are the perfect addition to any desk or shelf. Elevate your hobby and explore the world of goat guns today at Goat